Hi, everybody. I'm Terry Moore, and this is my virtual 2021 San Diego Comic-Con panel. It's unusual to do this from my studio. It's the first time for me, but I guess everyone is saying that. I've been to every San Diego since 1996, 94, 94. So, yeah, it was really weird not to go last year. Um, but I didn't do any shows last year, like many people, and instead I made a lot of books. So it was good for the book part of it. I just stayed right here at the drawing table, and I kept my head down and just kept doing what I do, making pages and stories and all that. So it was a good way for me to get through the year and just kind of keep my sanity. And 2021 is a little better, and next year I'm sure we're all going to be back in Convention Center in San Diego, and really happy to be there. I'm looking forward to seeing everybody again. It's a little strange to have like a panel and I cannot see you or watch you guys making faces at me or throwing, cups at me, and I can't hear any questions. But hey, this is how we do it right now, and we're going to be fine. Um, okay, so the books that I did last year, I just thought maybe I'd give you a rundown over that real quick in case you don't follow me on social media. And I've put out a sketchbook at the first of the year. I tend to do that anyway. I like to have a sketchbook at the first of each year. And it just kind of just captures, whatever I have collected over the previous 12 months and, some of my favorite sketches. Um, just pencil, really. That's mostly, for some reason, these always tend to be pencil, well, because it's sketches, right? So really cute stuff of Jet and everything. Oh, I just saw that Jet has an atomic bomb on her. She painted an atomic bomb explosion on her base, which I think is pretty good for the Thunder base. um, so speaking of the drawing, well, these guys were available on our website because I couldn't go to shows. Usually these are on our table, and selling them for $10, but they had to go to our website. And then I updated the how to draw. The 2012 version was much thinner and had, I think, 5 chapters on there. And I expanded it into a thicker book. And this is the deluxe hardcover version. But I share not how to draw an arm, but how the arm works in the whole with the body, so that you can draw without having to use models, so that you just kind of get the anatomy in your head. And I do the same thing with body language and humor and things like that. I have to be careful to show you pages that don't have nudity. How do I do expressions, things like that. And also at the very end, I still have, I still share my templates. Like that's the full page template. You can take this and design it onto an 11 by 17 piece of paper, and you have the same thing I have when I make my pages. Um, like, like my pages, I cut them out of a pad, a Strathmore pad, and then I mark them off and cut them to size and all that. This, by the way, is a new page from my current series, Serial. I'll talk about that more in a minute. I brought a lot of show and tell. Okay, so the how to draw, I did that and put it out last year while everybody was at home on their computers. And this one was just through the website. It doesn't even have an ISBN on it or anything. It was just like website only. And then there was a soft cover that went to all the stores. The soft cover is a lot more affordable. And one thing that I did just to kind of just for fun to see if anybody would notice, and so far nobody has. So I'll point it out to you. Hang on just a second. I'll wait right there. Okay, I got the soft cover. Here's the soft cover. Same interior, same front cover. But on the spine, there's a pencil, a number 2 pencil. And then on the hardcover is my famous green pencil, the one pencil I've drawn every book with. So almost every book I didn't have it for the first 2 years of SIP, I think. So anyway, nobody's ever said anything about that. But this is the premium version, so you get the $12 pencil, and then this is the affordable version, so you get the $1 pencil. There. After that, I wanted to do like a little graphic novel for the year, so I came up with the story of Ever, and this is just a one-shot, and it was designed to be like an 88-page, 100-page book story. And Ever is the daughter of Lilith from Rachel Rising. Did you know she has a daughter? Surprise. So this story is about Ever and the angel who is trying to talk her into going back down to the pit of darkness to get all those guys down there released. So it's a pretty interesting story. It kind of covers an early chapter in Rachel and Lilith's life. Their beginning at the dawn of time, or the dawn of mankind on Earth, I should say. Who knows if that's the beginning of time? That's debatable. That's for Vsauce on YouTube. And so anyway, this kind of gets, esoteric and gets into all that old stuff, and I kind of weave a tapestry of history and do it in my own twisted way. So you might want to check that out. Let's see. That came out again, but I should finish this thought. Again, this was the hardcover version for the website that I'm showing, but there was a softcover version as well. And I don't want to show you the inside too much because I don't want to do any spoilers, but yeah, I don't know if you've heard about it, but it exists, and you can still get it on the website. And after Ever, I thought, okay, I'm ready for a series. I think that the world settled down enough that I can go back and do a series now. So this was near the end of 2020, looking at the end of it. And I was getting so much feedback about Zoe and sketches of Zoe that I was putting out. People really like her. So I thought, well, let's give her a series, I mean, she's kind of like a little, one of my favorite characters, kind of like a little breakout character for me. Of all the cast of characters in Rachel Rising, Zoe kind of had a fan club because she's a little unusual. If you don't know, Zoe is a 10-year-old girl who is possessed by a demon and has been around she's been 10 years old for the last 50 years. That's not a fresh idea, but it's because I think somebody told me last week there's a movie from 2008 called Let the Right One In, where there's a little girl and she's 200 years old. So she's way older than Zoe. But that's okay, I got Lilith and she's timeless. So I win the contest, yay. Anyway, so I gave Zoe her own series, and it was Serial. So I kind of started off with this. Look, this reminds me of Sin City, the attack in the alley. So I just kind of did a Sin City alley homage with Zoe as the only warrior that we needed inside there. And of course, it's, as usual with my style, it's black and white. And the serial killer in this case is this woman. And this is not what she really looks like. She's in cosplay at the moment. She wears these different outfits in different situations. And the theory was that the principle of the story is that there's a serial killer loose in this town, and she actually kills one of Zoe's friends. And Zoe decides I'm going to find you. And she tracks her down. So it takes a serial killer to find a serial killer, that kind of thing. So that's what the story is basically about. It's two stories intertwined. The serial killer that's on the loose, and then Zoe going after her. So Here's the second issue. I thought that was really cute. Just the typical little Victorian girl, or not the post-Victorian, with the little Lizzie Borden hatchet. Number three, the idea of this. It's the typical every person's fear about the child and the predator in the park. But if you look up close, take to the top of the balloon is a razor blade. And now you begin to realize who's hunting who. Which is kind of the whole point of Zoe, is she turns the tables on all this kind of stuff. And then just this classic Notre Dame gargoyle. Actually, the head's from Notre Dame, and the rest of it is from gargoyles I saw in Italy. So it's a mishmash. But I'm having so much fun doing this series. Not that I enjoy the topic, but it's just amazing to be able to write about such unusual characters, right? If I wrote about people who are just like me, I just feel like it would be boring. So I like to write about characters and people that are so different that I really have to use my imagination. And I guess that's the appeal for actors. You know, I saw that Jessica Chastain is playing Tammy Faye Baker. They couldn't be any more different. And imagine the challenge it is for the actor Jessica Chastain to play that role. It's makes you want to get up in the morning and take on the challenge, right? So that's how it is for me at the drawing board, to try to imagine, how these people think and how they move and all that. So and that's the same way as if you had to write Spider-Man. What's it like to be able to do that? And then if you can do that, if you can get your head there, what would you do with it? And there's your story. So usually at about this point, somebody starts asking a question. And maybe the first question would be, how long do you plan to do serial? So I think the answer for me is that it's been planned to be about 10 issues. And I'm discussing with Robin, we're having such a good time with it, and my story is really getting into gear, that I'm thinking about going to 15 issues. So I don't know, it depends. It depends on the world, and I could certainly go longer than 10, but I don't know. Are you making any long-term plans? I feel kind of, it's a publishing company. I mean, Abstract Studio is a publishing company, so we need to plan for the future. But as a creator, I like to be able to, if I feel like spending the autumn and the winter totally focused on a romance story, I want to be able to do that. Or if we're having a bad year and we're all angry and I want to write about serial killers, I get to do that. So that's the fun about being an indie guy. So I'm gonna finish the story out at 10 issues. If we look like we can go 15, if the world will stabilize and let us do that, I can certainly go 15, because I have so many details. When I'm writing the story out, you see my notebook right there. That notebook is chock full of notes and so many scenes that I haven't been able to fit in yet. Oh, and you also see, look, right there is Zoe's bus. I use that as reference for Zoe's little VW bus that she's living in. Oh, and while I'm point it out, right here is the original art. There are actually 4 tubs there, one on top of the other, and that's the original art from all my series. I keep it in plastic tubs because I live in Houston, and we have a problem with flooding here. So if there's disaster strikes, we put the lids on these guys, and hopefully it floats to safety somewhere in Oklahoma. We have had to move them once before when there was a hurricane came through. We packed all of our tubs and put them into the trunk of our Honda and drove to Austin. And these things weigh a ton. So yeah, It takes dedication to save your original art when you have that much of it. I think it's kind of like a Greek uh, lesson, like an old Greek story where somebody is taught a lesson, where I've made all this art and now I have to tug it around all over the country when I go to shows and stuff. You've got these big, heavy art bags, and I have to carry these tubs and all this stuff. So yeah, it serves me right for making all that stuff in the first place, right? um, okay, sometimes in the convention panels, people say, "Well, where are you at with?" Like, that's great about your books, but where are you at with TV and movies? Anything going on? And I get that question because there are so many. Um, I've made so many books that you would think just the law of averages would mean that one of them would end up on a screen eventually. Um, so the rundown right now, that I'll give you an update. Motor Girl is in a very good place. It's at a great home, and it has a fantastic team working on it. And they haven't said anything publicly, so I can't say anything out of turn. But I'm super happy with the way Motor Girl is developing, and that would be for streaming TV. I'm way more interested in streaming programs than I am movies. Movies are a whole different world. You get one chance, right? And then it just trickles on for the rest of your life, but you only get one release. And you also only get this little time slot. Whereas a streaming series, you get what I do, which is, chapter, 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 a lot of chapters. That's how I think. That's how the characters are designed to open up to you and the story develop. So I'm way more interested in streaming than I ever would be in a movie. Um, so Motor Girl's doing well. And then the other one is Echo. Echo has a very good home and people who really believe in it. And they're developing it. It's also doing very well. So I'm hoping, fingers crossed, that those two will kick down the door for me to get some of this stuff onto a screen somewhere. Um, Strangers in Paradise, the big one. The champion for Strangers in Paradise has always been the director, Angela Robinson. And Angela and I have known each other since the 90s, and she has always said, that one's mine. I need to have a career and keep working on other stuff, but this is my dream project. I want to do Strangers in Paradise. And I believe her because she's been telling me that every year for the last 20 years. Finally, I think that the world is ready for it. Strangers was too early for its time, and that's great for book readers, but for the screen, it was a difficult sell to producers. What is it? That's kind of iffy, that's kind of touchy material right there. And it didn't pitch well. I mean, when we tried to sell it. But that's not the case anymore. Obviously, the world has turned around and changed. So people are far more interested in the story of Francine and Katchoo than they used to be. So now Angela is written a script, and it's for a movie. And the idea is that there would be a movie first, and it would focus on, there's so many stories inside Strangers in Paradise because it's a long book. She takes one aspect of it and focuses on it for a movie. And then the goal is that this movie would spawn a series, a streaming series. So Angela has done both. She's done movies and she's done a lot of TV. So this is all in her wheelhouse. She I think she's finally found the right partners to work with, and they are giving me exciting news. I had great news last week on it. So fingers crossed again. I don't know anything about making movies. So this is kind of off my turf. I do know a little bit about making TV shows because I was an editor before I was a comic book guy. So TV is something I understand. I understand the process. Movies, I only know what you know. I've seen all the behind the scenes stuff you've seen, and I helped my dad make a couple of indie movies one time when I was young, and just being a production assistant. My dad was a director, so I don't know. It's another world, and the stakes are high in the movie business. A lot of cash up front, and everybody's got to deliver. So I don't know. It's kind of crazy. Um, I let the professionals handle that. I'm not going to go get a credit card and run it up and do it myself and make Chasing Amy. That's for sure. Or Clerks. Um, so Angela is our hero. She's the one fighting for Strangers in Paradise. So support her and let her know that you're behind her if you ever see her um, uh, on the forum or something like that, or online or anything. Um, we'll see. You know who's homeless? You know who has no home? I'm looking at my list here on my screen. Is Rachel. Rachel Rising has no home. At one point, it was it belonged to AMC, and they had it kind of in their portfolio to think about developing. But they went a different direction. The people who championed it and liked it left. And that's what kind of happens if things go on for years. You wonder why. Because somebody will get a new producer, and that producer says, oh, I really want Rachel Rising as one of the things we can consider. So they pick it up as an option, and it sits there for a year or so and waiting its turn. And then that producer leaves the company, and the new people want their own stuff, and they're looking somewhere else. So they let the old package go. And that happens over and over and over. You don't get discouraged by it. It's just the way it is. So Rachel was kicked to the curb, and now it's homeless. So what I'm hoping is um, I'll just kind of keep it here in my pocket. I'm not really going to go out and sell it too much, and just maybe see what Motor Girl and Echo and Strangers in Paradise can do. And if they can do anything, and then if it does okay, and somebody comes back to me and says, hey, you got any more? Oh, I just so happen to have this. Rachel. So that's the plan, Stan. Now you know everything I know about all that. So let's see, 2021, this year, for the rest of the year, it's going to be doing anything I can to help the people that are on those development projects for the screen. And I'm going to finish out my series. It's time to finish up at the end of the year, or if it does well, continues to do okay, I'll go longer. It depends on you guys, really. And after that, a new series, a new project. And I don't want to say anything about it. This is not an announcement of it, because I still want to focus on Serial, but I've got an idea in my head. And what usually happens is I'll get like 3 or 4 ideas in my head, and that's okay, but it needs work. And then I figure out a way to put all 3 together, and now it becomes like a really strong braid. And gosh, that's what I did with Strangers in Paradise. That's what I did with Rachel. I just take several stories and weave them together. So that's kind of where I am right now with the 2021 project, or whatever follows. It is 2020, 2022. Whatever follows Serial is what I'm talking about. So 2022 is when we go back to convention centers, and we'll have the finish of Serial and the start of the new one. So that's what I'm looking for. And I pray to God, maybe some sort of announcement, at least one little glimmer of hope announcement for the screen on one of those books. I would love to see that. Let's see. Okay, so that's that's kind of what I've been doing. I've really just stayed here on the drawing table and just kept my head down and worked. So one of the things, I forgot to mention, was that I also did a Art Nouveau portfolio. Did you hear about that, or did you get to get one? I think we still have them on the website. And once again, it's right there in the bookshelf. So, okay, look at my poster for a second, and I'll grab this off the bookshelf. This couldn't be any more unprofessional, but welcome to my studio. Okay, here's the Art Nouveau portfolio. It was big, 11 by 17 prints of, this was kind of like my farewell to Art Nouveau because I've done so much of it. But I wanted to do one beautiful portfolio as if I was actually living in 1900 and I was trying to do, prints for everybody. So I focused on Francine and Katchoo with the four seasons, the sun, the moon, at different seasons. And I really just poured my heart into it and tried to do my best work on this. And as you can see, each one was signed and numbered, and it was limited to 650 portfolios. So it was my chance just to zone out and work on this for like a month straight, maybe a little longer. Seemed like it took me 6 weeks to do this. And then go to the printer in San Antonio and sign them and collate them and make the folders and all that. It was really just kind of like an act of love. And one of the things that inspired me to do this was because I had actually heard, my hero on this style was Alphonse Mucha from 100 years ago, over 100 years ago. Well, his family is still with us, and his grandson contacted me, as well as a couple of other comic book illustrators, about participating in a retrospective show of Alphonse Mucha's work. And the reason why there were any comic book people involved at all was because it was just kind of a thing in the last part of the exhibit showing how his work has influenced modern day people. And of course, I had some Strangers in Paradise covers, things like that, that had paid tribute to the style. So I was so flattered to hear from the Mucha family and the foundation in Prague. And the show started in Tokyo, and it's going to have about 5 dates, 5 stops around the world. And then it ends up in Prague, and you can go see it there if you want. Go to the City of Bridges and look at the beautiful art. So, and the cover page. So that was another thing that I did last year while we were not going to shows. A lot of drawing, which actually was really good for the soul. Not so good for my frequent flyer miles, but it was good for the soul, and I got to connect with the art again and feel very much like somebody with a quiet art life. I just get up, go to the table, draw all day, peace. Try to ignore the news. The news didn't help me very much with my work, so I just focused on being an artist. And let's see, I miss you guys, and I'm looking forward to getting up to the convention circuit again next year. In the meantime, I have been doing a YouTube channel where Robin and I kind of do a Q&A, and then I put a camera next to my head and I do a sketch or something and talk about how I sketch. And I've been making those shows every Sunday, and we call it Studio Sunday, and posted it on my YouTube channel. So anywhere you want to find me on social media, it's under Terry Moore Art. You have to put in the art part because there's a lot of Terry Moores in the world. I'm surprised. I'm just as surprised as you are. I thought I was the only weirdo Terry Moore, but there's a lot of Terry Moores. And so it's Terry Moore Art at like Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube. Also, terrymoreart.com will get you straight to our website for all this stuff that I'm talking about. So you can go look at the shows on YouTube, and they're like little mini cons or mini panels, just like 10-minute Q&A each, and then a quick sketch or something. So that's how I've been trying to keep in touch with you guys, the public. But it's not the same thing as seeing your smiling faces and joking around and being able to share what we all love. One of the things I loved about going to San Diego Comic-Con was that everybody in the room was there because they wanted to be. And so the vibe was so good in the room, right? I mean, it's not like we all work in insurance and we have to go to an insurance convention and you're just watching the clock until you can go to the bar. It's not like that at a comic convention. You know, you go to San Diego, there's a lot of people and they're all there because they want to be. And it's just a great feeling, a great atmosphere, and we're all sharing what we love. So I'm looking forward to doing that again. I hope that we can stay in touch for this way for now. I'm glad we have the internet, um, but it's not the same as seeing you in person. So I look forward to that next year. Thanks. Bye.